Have you been listening to some of my explanations to do with human biology and how our bodies are formed? We're made of metals, and some I can't pronounce that bone problem thing. Anyway, osteoporosis? Osteopathosis? I can't remember. I should have to ask Google. Maybe they don't know how to pronounce it. To do with bones and the growth of bones and the structure of how we're formed from the fetus. After we've been conceived, after an hour, we form, and we form our form all the way through to about 14 weeks, and then we change. Our X and Y finds its form of organ for the sexes. At about 14 weeks, it picks the dominant chromosome. It's my findings of research, etc. So, how does the body know when to stop growing? Well, it doesn't stop growing until it's 27 years old. We continually grow until we meet our adult form. At 27 years, your face will become broader. It's all to do with the Ohm's law and voltage. Our heart generates voltage through the metals in our bloodstream. So it's a bit like an air conditioning system, goes from gaseous to liquid, back to liquid to gaseous again. But just imagine that's just a load of metals charged with electricity of electrons in magnetic force around the heart. There's a beat around it, and that pulls this. It's not really a magnetic force actually, because the valve chamber fills up with negative energy and pulls the muscle back the other way. Imagine it's just like a speaker moving backwards and forwards. It uses energy to switch the pump on and off. So the positive energy comes out of the aorta in the primary part of the heart into the main artery and through to the primaries and capillaries, and the electricity that's generated from the heart operates muscles through neurological, through the brain movements of the cerebral fluid, passing through like almost like fiber optics do with telecommunications, and electric wiring moves with feeding of electricity. This instant flash of conductivity through ohms moves all these little micro movements around to stimulate hydrogen in our muscles. The hydrogen stored in the bloodstream around the muscles, and it has an effect to move. With the right thought in our head, with motor neurone, we learn how to adjust not necessarily motor neurone, actually it's motron movements. So as we grow, it grows back the ohms change, and then the metals drop off, and the minerals then form a blockage. Now the blockage is the joint that comes out from the calcium in the bones, marrow bone, which forms the bone structure through the minerals in our bloodstream from our food. And whilst it's in the embryo, it's from the mother's placenta, and whilst it's been born and it's fully being fed with milk and then onto solids, all these nutrients come down into our gut, drop into our blood sac around our pancreas, and this adjusts the insulin to form the fluidity of the bloodstream and the power from the electricity that the heart has made in its own reciprocal function of on and off switch between its design of the heart itself. So once it's started, it just carries on beating from this heartbeat through electricity. Now, the left arm grows at the same rate as the right arm, surely only to the fact that the ohmage in distance between the muscle mass back to its function of the brain, the pituitary adjusts all of the nutrients, the minerals, the hormones, adjust all that. When it gets to the joint, it then solids up because it's changing the magnetism. It's not metal. It's got to the point it's out of range, so it forms a joint, but then the joint then builds up more blood over the top of it and it starts all over again. So it then starts to grow flesh around that past the joint, and then that's a flexible joint, and it does the same with the elbow, the shoulder, and the arm and the fingers, the back, the hip, the knee, the ankle. These are all my observations to do with the Ohm's law and how it's possible, the theory on how it happens. So how come a crocodile can grow another leg? Have you figured that out yet? It stumps its leg in the mud and makes the contact of the Ohm's law back to the pituitary. If you had a special suit, could you grow new arms and legs? Of course, you would have to be in a blood sac full of urine, like your mother's had when you was an embryo. What do you think about that? Don't do anything horrible, everybody, because this really does need some research. Don't cut people's legs and arms off and fingers to find out whether it's going to work. Don't do anything like that, because we're not Frankensteins, are we? I'm just telling you how I think it all works. How about that then?